If you could buy stock in any company and affect change, what would it be?
I don't want to botch it.
I would buy stock in Nike and teach them how to make a really good fucking running shoe because they're incapable of doing that.
How is that the case?
They suck. How
is it the case that you're the biggest?
Nobody who's a serious runner wears Nike. I'm sorry.
That blew my mind. When I started running a little more, like 6 months ago, I just thought that's what everyone wore. And then
I would buy $10 billion of stock.
Yeah.
And be like, you got to learn how to make a running shoe. Sorry, Phil. I love you, Phil. I think your book is great.
Not one good running shoe, huh? That's a shocker. And here it is with fucking Hoka. That's who's killing it. That's who has the good running shoe.
Yeah, Hoka, On, Asics. How did Nike they're a running brand. What are you running from?
Yeah, they're running from a good running shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Hey guys, welcome to Group Chat.
The number one podcast in the world with the number one biggest hat.
The biggest pod with the biggest hat. So for everyone listening, you don't know what we're talking about. But Dee's wearing a massive hat.
Huge.
It's huge. It's the biggest hat in the world. So check our Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You'll enjoy it. And he wore it the whole episode. I thought he was going to wear it in the beginning as kind of a gag.
I kind of just realized.
Is it lightweight?
Yeah, it feels great.
It looks like it weigh you down, but you didn't even notice. That's great. I can't wait to see the TikTok clip of you talking about something really serious and you have that hat on.
I just China.
Yeah. Layoffs.
I'm not taking this guy serious.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait to read those comments. Okay, we got a lot to talk about today. As you know, our Sunday, night episodes, we, get you all ready for the new week. We're talking about layoffs in big tech. Tesla, we have a little conversation about Tesla stock and just Tesla brand. The passion for it. Also, some assumptions about how people think about owning a Tesla. Curious when you guys listen, if you agree or disagree with our take. But we'd love to hear about it. Make sure you comment and let us know what you think. And then a lot of other business news. We got some ChatGPT stuff. We got some Elizabeth Holmes on the run. We got all sorts of stuff to talk about. We've been talking about short story long. For all the old short story long listeners, we got answers. That and many more things. We're going to start your week off right. D, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. D.
Hey.
Some people might say, I'm not saying a lot of people, some people might say, man, that D has got a big head. And I don't think so. But what I do feel comfortable saying is you got a big hat, small head, big hat.
I actually have a big head, but
what size fitted hat do you wear?
I think 5'8".
It's on the bigger side.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not that.
This is on another level.
Okay, so for all the listeners, all the people who listen and don't see the video right now, I would urge you to go to our Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, starting probably by the end of Monday, because Dee's wearing a fucking massive hat, like cartoon-sized Lakers hat, and Anand couldn't make it. So is this in honor of Anand, dude with the hat, or?
Yeah, so... A couple weeks ago, we were talking about these hats, and I think it was when Brian Robinson, the running back of the Redskins, wore it. Yeah. And I was like, man, I would wear that hat. And then, of course, got a DM from a Kathy, said, hey, we want to send you that hat. And really generous guys out of Denver, Amber Creative, sent us 3 hats. And they're from the Noggin Boss. That's the name of the hat company.
Love it.
And Jeremy Picker and Angelo Montiel sent us the hats. So we have 3 hats. We have 2 of these Los Angeles Kathy's hats, which are just incredibly epic. So we're going to give one away to one of the Kathy Club members. So stay tuned for that.
Look at that. Already the perks.
The perks are coming in.
Perks are rolling in. Week one, perks are rolling in. And I mean, just unbelievable. Like, let me tell you the cool thing about having a podcast. Like, I'm going to, just for a quick moment, I'll say we don't have, the biggest podcast in the world. Whoa. That's the last time you'll hear me say that. But the point is, somehow, for good or for bad, so much of what we talk about gets back to the person we were talking about, or the company, or the business. Like we've had events where people have come up, like we've like roasted, like I don't know what to name the company, and then like somebody from the company will show up to our live event and be like, "Oh man, they put you in our Slack channel and it was hilarious and whatever." And or you can call out these gigantic fucking hats, and it gets back to them, and they send us hats. It's amazing,
unbelievable, hilarious.
Who else did you guys shout out that said they would come on the pod? Oh, there was someone that
your guy, Nimesh Patel.
Yeah. Nimesh. That's so sick. So Nimesh Patel, the massive TikTok, comedian that blew up on TikTok. We talk about him all the time. Indian guy. We talked about him. It got back to him. He's just going to come on.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean,
this is great.
It's pretty epic. You just don't realize how many people actually are paying attention.
Yeah. It's kind of scary.
What's
because
funny
I don't think about it when I'm talking shit, which is probably good for the comedy.
It's funny is like, I have Zoom meetings and I meet people in person all the time, and people always go, "I know you from somewhere." And, I'm nowhere near out like I was 5 years ago, right? Yeah. Like 5 years ago, I'm like, I go out now, but I'm at dinner and I'm meeting with like one person. I go home. Like, I'm not running into hundreds of people a night like I would have done 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I never really see people like the same quantum of people. So when people come up to me like, "I know you," and I just like confidently say, "You know me from TikTok." And everyone's like, nah, man, I don't watch TikTok. I was like, yes, you do. You know me from TikTok. Don't be embarrassed. It's okay. You're 42 years old. It's okay. You watch TikTok.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, where else do you know me? Like, there's just no other place.
I mean, there's a guy at the gym that I go to who I see all the time, and he, we don't really talk much, not for any reason, but he's a guy that's always there that I don't really talk to. And the other day he came up to me and said, "Hey, Drama, what's up, man?" I said, "What's up?" He said, "Is Group Chat on YouTube?" And I was like, "Oh shit, you listen to Group Chat?" He's like, "Yeah, I was just looking for it on YouTube. I couldn't find it." But it's everywhere. And I will say, I've noticed I don't get asked for NFT advice anymore. Yeah. That used to be the thing. Like last summer or spring, I would go to like anything, a gas station, and like the guy at the counter, a young dude would be like, "Hey man, can you check out my crypto wallet? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. I see you guys all the time." I'm like, "Don't ask me, please." And thank God I never dished out any advice, because I'm sure they all got wiped.
Oh man, that's so sad.
It's pretty amazing. That's the joy. I just want to tell all of our listeners, if there's anything that you're passionate about, I would really encourage you to put out content about it, because it will shock you how much people see it and find it and like come talk to you about it. It's pretty wild. I mean,
I can't tell you how many times, at least once a week, I meet someone that referenced a short story long interview.
Yeah. Rest in peace. It's funny because that show, here's the brutal truth, listeners, is that show just became very time consuming, and booking those guests was very hard. And it just wasn't a business. It didn't make any money. And so I had to make a choice. Like, I have to focus on business. I have to focus on what, pays the bills. And unfortunately, especially with COVID and all that, it just that went. But what's funny is I feel like now, at the time, I felt like people liked it, but it didn't feel that powerful. It feels like now that it's gone, all of a sudden there's all these short story long listeners all over the place.
Yeah, like, where the fuck were you?
I know, where the fuck were you? I needed your downloads, God damn it. So who knows, listeners, maybe one day. I do wish I could bring them back at some point. But
why do you do once a month?
I could. It's just to be honest with you, I started setting the bar so high with guests.
Yeah. You had insane guests.
Yeah, and booking those guests became so hard. And there was just like more and more people needed and schedules to align, and it had to align with my schedule.
What if you did it? I have an idea. What if you did it like how like Rob shoots ridiculousness? It's probably like a 4-week sprint. So for 4 weeks, you record a dozen episodes.
Yeah.
And then you release them, it's a season. It's once a year. And that way it's like a concentrated effort because they were really good.
That could work. The thing that I honestly I think that there's so many people now who do extraordinary podcasts every week consistently and never stop, that I don't think you can even be competitive with like a season. Like, I don't think the show was that good. I thought it was pretty good, but I don't think it's so good that people would not forget about it with like a 3-month hiatus.
So here's my thought on that. I think it's more of the audience you reach that other podcasts couldn't. So when I look at group chat listeners or short story long listeners, most people were not podcast listeners before us.
Yeah.
Or before short story.
That might have been part of my problem, actually.
Yeah. We brought on new listeners to to this platform, this medium.
My goal is that the honest answer is I'm having a lot of fun, and I have what I look at as a unique business opportunity with the stuff I'm doing now. But I don't think it'll be like this forever. And I think that whatever happens, and when some time frees up, I think it'd be great to just do it again full time, hire someone to manage the guests.
Yeah.
And it'd be great.
That makes sense.
But I just feel like, like this is I'm in a zone business wise where I really feel like I got like, what's funny is I just saw a post about Joe Burrow talking about golfing. And he said, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to play it. I'm going to suck. I'm going to become obsessed with it. And I'm going to spend the time trying to get better at golf instead of focusing what I should be focused on. And that's kind of how I felt. Like I have this window where I need to focus on something specific, and I'm going to do that while I need to. And then that's something that I could bring back. And at the end of the day, it doesn't need to make money. I don't need to.
Yeah. And I think when it doesn't have to be a business, that's when it's the best.
Yeah.
Like, similar to why All In is so successful. Joe Rogan started his podcast at a time where he did not need the income of the podcast.
Yeah, that became a business on accident.
Yeah. And I think the best, specifically podcasts, YouTube creators, did it because they were just passionate and interested.
Yeah.
That's like worth way more over the long. And that's why I think we all believe that this is such a valuable media entity, is because we just do it because we love it.
Yeah, and that's what excites me. What honestly excites me is just like even what we do here on group chat, like just sharing information that is fun or funny or informative or inspirational because you like it. When I look at myself, I don't get excited about like if I was a professional podcaster. Now, don't get me wrong. You give me one of those Alex Cooper or Joe Rogan deals, I'd get pretty excited. But like, if I look at like, oh, my career is that I am a podcaster and I sell ads and I grind it out. Like that's not a career that's exciting to me. If it was a side thing that was really informative and fun, love that. But that's why the group chat's so fun. We do it. It's not our profession, but we get to have fun. We get to talk shit.
It's amazing.
Speaking of talking shit and things getting back to people, this is the last thing, and then we can get to the news. We can also cut this out if I'm not allowed to share this. Didn't the Peloton CEO actually become aware?
So a friend who listens to the podcast texted something, a clip or something I said, and
to
then
the Peloton CEO.
I'm pretty sure he said fuck off, look at my boat, something of the response. And this was 2 years ago when they were worth $20 billion or whatever.
Yeah. That's
Let
amazing.
me tell you something, brah.
Says the guy in the massive cartoon hat.
Yeah. I got the big hat now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
My hat's bigger than your boat.
I feel like you got to keep the boat, no?
I think the boat still exists, sadly.
Yeah. Okay, news?
Yeah.
All right. Google, so let's get up to speed here. Let me be a good journalist. We are in a wave of layoffs. Mainly, it seems like in the tech industry is kind of where you're seeing these massive reductions in workforce. That seems to be at least where the headlines are. We don't hear too much of it. We've heard some from Amazon, that's for sure. Meaning like there has been some warehouse stuff and stuff like that, but it's mainly been like retail at Amazon, mainly been those sort of things is what it seems like. Let us know if you hear anything different out there in the world, listeners. But the newest one making headlines is Google is laying off 12,000 employees. And we have some information on kind of how, what's going on with severance packages. There's a kind of a minimum, necessary by law sort of thing for these type of people. But, obviously some people like Facebook went above and beyond. A lot of people have went above and beyond. So we got some info there. Yeah,
Google, all of these companies, they're giving very generous packages. 16-week base severance package with an additional 2 weeks for every year of employment at Google. And you get at least 6 months of healthcare coverage. So if you were there for 10 years and got laid off, you got 9 months.
Yeah. Yeah, look, the layoffs suck, of course, but that's the cool thing. Like these companies make so much money. They have so much money. They do have to do layoffs because it is, business-wise, the sound thing to do. But it seems like they're going about it at least in the right way where like you can afford to do these hefty severances. So at least you're doing that.
Yeah. And it's funny because like when I look at a company like Google or Microsoft, they're so profitable still. They make so much money. They can easily afford to keep all of these employees. But the fact is that they're probably bloated and they wanted a cost cut. They did the cost cutting, and my guess is they have more to go. This is just the beginning. But they did do right by their people. Like I read some, kind of sad stories of people that worked at Microsoft and Google for a very long time, and they were kind of super surprised and shocked when they woke up and their phone was turned off and their email was disconnected. And I get it. It's devastating. It does not feel good for that to happen to you. I think the challenge is that from a corporate side, most companies rarely take care of the people they lay off because they don't have to deal with them anymore. So why take care of them? These people are doing it. I think long term it will benefit the reputation of these companies. And I mean, these companies are just bloated. They don't need this many people. These are like the most transformational pieces of technology ever that was built by a very small group of people. And they got super ambitious thinking they can do a lot of things. Reality is they don't. And even Google has already kind of hinted that AI has replaced a lot of their employees.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like, we're going to continue to see layoffs in a lot of different specific industries. Industries that require physical labor, I think they're completely safe.
I still think those people are understaffed. Like from what I hear from like, let's even say like major department store type places, like they're still having staffing problems with their workforce, like in stores.
Yeah, I talked to a retailer recently that said they can't get the product out of their warehouse fast enough because they're understaffed.
Yeah, I know places that are having trouble getting it like onto shelves. It says it's there. It's maybe just sitting in the back.
Yeah, exactly. I've had those conversations. Although I did see, I don't know if you saw this video. It's gone like super viral. Boston Dynamics. It's a robotics company.
I haven't seen anything in a while.
They showed a robot basically walking and helping carrying like basically like a 4x4 like lumber and tossing it onto a construction site. And it was like doing backflips and fucking turning. Like, it was unbelievable. This is the most insane video you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
If that is what's happening in the near future, where robots are helping build shit and I know like autonomous cars sometimes feels like a million years away because of legislation.
Yeah.
The technology is there. Is it 100%? Absolutely not. So it's going to take time before that gets people comfortable.
Yeah.
But like things like trucking, things like construction, things like the register at the grocery store, like they don't feel far away from being autonomous or fueled by robotics. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. You know what else I don't understand is, so I guess kind of like to segue, like you're totally right. And that is, to be honest with you, I can't even begin to like try to understand that, because anywhere I go mentally just feels very devastating and like scary for a lot of people. And I don't know what those people do otherwise. But then that leads me to the question is like, if we keep hearing over and over about still staffing shortages at like these kind of retail jobs or waiters, things like that, like I can't wrap my head around how those people, like where did those people go? How are those people currently paying their bills? Like stimmies ran out, your NFTs went bust. We had all those excuses before. I just don't understand how this far after the fact, those people are still getting by.
I guess if you're young and you don't leave your parents' house, that's one.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of people living at home.
Okay.
It is what it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a big part of the current economic climate. And I'm not even saying that it's a knock. Like in other countries, you don't really leave your house till you get married.
Yeah.
And in most cases, even when you get married, your significant other just lives in with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you kind of wait it out till your parents pass and you take over the house.
Well, and we're on the verge of this massive like wealth transfer.
That's what I'm saying. It's like boomers got money. Millennials have no money. Gen Z has no money. Boomers are filthy rich.
So maybe living at home with your rich boomer. It just blows my mind. Cause like when I think about like, oh yeah, like, you know, okay, so robots are going to take the job at, on the floor at Target, or something, but they're having trouble filling those jobs anyway. So like, it's like, yes, that's devastating, but also like, how are they having trouble filling? It's not like people are just like climbing over themselves for those jobs and robots are going to take them. It just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, kind of like what's going on in the details here.
What's interesting is, it's funny because I don't see young people. I mean, I live in LA, I live in West Hollywood. And so the places I go to, I don't see like the 16-year-old kid, doing the register or the waiter. You just don't see that. Like, when you live in the suburbs, you see like your, the neighborhood restaurant is like the high school kid earning a couple extra bucks.
Yeah. Today
I went to get pizza from a place across the street from my house, picked it up, walked, and the kid there was like it was actually a kid. Like he looked like he was 16. He was probably a little older. He was probably 18, 19, whatever he was.
Yeah.
But I was just shocked to even see that person taking that job.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so when I was growing up, I interned for free a lot of places. Fortunate enough where I didn't have to earn money, but like my friends had the jobs, at the retail or the, whatever, the neighborhood restaurant, whatever it was. And I think there's like a general feeling of, why do I got to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Because you see people your age now, no matter what age you are. Think about it like this. If you're a 5-year-old, you see Ryan's toys and you're like, fuck that. I'm not doing shit. Ryan's not doing anything. Why should I? And
I will tell you, like we did a kids edition of our game. And so I went kind of down this, marketing hole of like influencers and stuff that are kids or kids and parents or whatever. And there's a lot of them. There is a lot of like 5-year-old to 8-year-old and parent combos.
Wow, really?
Like Ryan, yes, there's a lot. It's the same as looking for any other thing. Like if you were like, oh, I need some influencers that are this style or this style, like there is a whole thing. They have managers. They are repped by William Morris, some of them. Like it is a whole thing.
And they're 5.
They're 5. But they're loving it.
What are my kids doing? They haven't brought
$1
$1 in.
You better send Dom to dance class, speaking, get him some media training, see where his talents are.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I agree. I think kids as young as that are seeing these people on TikTok. I would imagine they're even seeing like North, West, and like there's so many examples. And so why would you? What, you're telling me that you walk into a restaurant to a fucking Denny's and you're like, Mom, when I grow up, I want to do that. No chance.
What's interesting, Target, you mentioned Target. Target, I said last week, they're paying up to $24 an hour now for like regular ass workers.
Yeah.
$15 to $24. That is like a lot of fucking money. And I know people will say, oh, that's such a difficult job. I would disagree. I don't think it's as pressured of a job as working in corporate America, and you get $24 an hour.
Yeah. I would imagine it's that people, the only thing I can imagine is that the value that people post-COVID place on being in control of their time is like significantly higher. Like I think something happened during COVID where people realized, maybe because you were living off stimmy or like whatever, it was sort of like, okay, I do what I want for better or for worse. But now like, it's so interesting to drive Uber or Postmates or, try to have some sort of side hustle. Maybe you're lucky enough to live with your parents to pick up some of that slack. Like, I think that the value, like whereas going and putting on the red polo and fucking being told what to do by Deborah, the manager, just feels like, the worst thing in the world.
That's interesting. I mean, I guess I find driving Uber, I think the one thing about driving an Uber is you get to do it whenever you want.
Yep.
Do I think driving an Uber is an easier job than working at Target? I don't know because I haven't done both those jobs.
I bet.
But I would say I think that's the flexibility of doing it whenever you want.
But think about it. You deal with small doses of probably really small doses of terrible interactions, drunk people, rude people, blah, blah, blah. Most of it's probably relatively pleasant. And then in between that, you wear whatever you want. You stop and, get a pack of cigs if you want. You you listen to your favorite podcast in between, you blah, blah, blah. Whereas, you clock out and take a lunch. No one tells you what to do. Whereas you go to these stores and you put on a name tag and a red polo and you're there for 8 hours and is what it is. I feel like that when I hear the sentiment, it sounds to me more like I don't want a boss or a manager. Like I value being in charge of my own time. For better or for worse. I'm not saying that's better. It's just
that's
because I'm an entrepreneur with no boss. It sounds great on paper, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm accountable to 500 people. Like it feels like, I'm saying? Like I don't feel. It's just a different style of.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I'm the same boat as you. There's nothing about my life that feels independent.
Yeah, but on paper, you're your own boss. You're blah blah blah, right?
Yeah. Well, when you wake up at 4 a.m. with panic sweats, you're not doing that when you work at fucking Target. I'm sorry, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're just like, oh man, Deborah's gonna really be on me today. Fuck her. And
I agree. I don't know if it's better, but I think that's what's happening. If I could,
and I also think it's just a lack of understanding of the other options. Like, I mean, if you're fortunate enough to have like a high-paying job and it's like somewhat like pleasant, like I don't the way that like look, Google and Microsoft and Meta pamper their employees for the last decade. They pampered them. And so if you got laid off and you didn't like appreciate your time there, that's on you, because let me tell you, you're not finding a job that's going to be easier than working at those companies.
Yeah. That's the tough thing. I don't want to completely judge by like TikTok, but like when you see these videos of like Twitter employees and blah, 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 where they're like, oh, today I went and got a smoothie and then I found a yoga room and then I decided it's just like, man, if that was your first job,
I
and
saw
then you
this.
got laid off. That's tough.
Yeah. I saw, a lot of people are like making fun of all the people that got laid off.
Yeah.
And there was a Twitter account that posted, I started at Google in 2007. This is what sponsored ads look like when I started, and this is what they look now. In 2007, it was basically it was like, it said ad, and it was it highlighted in like almost like a yellow. Yeah. And then in present, it's without the highlight. That's all it is. It's the only difference.
Yeah. That's good. And that was what, like 100,000 employees? How many employees do they have?
Yeah. It's just like, and probably made $500,000 a year. Obviously, it was a joke, but I think people need to understand that, like, they were all in very privileged situations.
Yeah.
And you didn't appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, but that's like it's like an unsayable, ununderstandable thing to say. So
the problem is if you talk to someone at Google got laid off, they're livid. They're so angry they can't believe it. If you told anyone else, and look, only 10,000 or 12,000 people, whatever it is, that got laid off at Google. Yeah. If you talk to the 300 million Americans that have jobs and live their life and told them about their Google experience, they would be livid. Yeah. Absolutely livid. They would be like, what are you complaining about? Because we don't have that.
Yeah, it's tough. That's why, it's so hard to understand other people. Like when those people are posting on TikTok, look at my job and look at my yoga room and my meditation, like they don't think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, oh, look at my job. This is so great. Like they don't even realize that, it's absurd. But anywho, moving on.
Yep.
Tesla.
Yep.
Hot. At least with one group. And by Tesla, sorry, I'm talking about the stock, not separate from the cars. Those are doing well too. Individual investors are going big on Tesla. They have spent more money on Tesla stock in the past 6 months than in the 5 years prior.
So this is reported by one of our guests, Gunjan, in the past. It's interesting. I think, if you went to like, I think you mentioned one time you were at dinner, you were talking about Joe Rogan and people looked at you.
Yep.
If you
talking about Alex Jones or, the devil.
And then if you were to talk about Elon in a group setting in LA particularly,
it's risky.
It's risky, right? You may get polarized answers.
Yep.
I think the general population believes Elon Musk is a visionary, like a revolutionary entrepreneur. Yeah. And I think they're putting their money where their mouth is. My guess, the price cuts on the car, record buying of the car. That's my guess. I have no data. I don't know anyone at the company. I believe when they cut that price, shit went ballistic.
Yeah, it had to have.
And so I'll give you my one anecdote that has no bearing on actual data, except that this morning we went to the Peterson Automotive Museum on Wilshire and Fairfax with the kids. While we were leaving, I was waiting, and Haley and Dominic were coming down, and my other son Miles, we were just sitting in the stroller, watching the cars come into the parking lot of the Peterson.
All Teslas. 7
in a row. Yeah. Teslas. 7. It's absurd.
Yeah. I notice it all the time. It is everywhere.
It's not only everywhere, and it's like there's like a sense of like, I don't know, it feels like a Tesla owner has pride.
Yeah, I think so.
It felt like what Mercedes or BMW had in the past, but on another level. Like I never remembered. I think like growing up, like the popular car in the Valley was Honda Civic or Toyota Camry. Like those were like the popular cars. But I don't know if they were proud that they owned them.
No. And so that probably exists with like Mercedes and stuff like that, but you just don't feel it as much.
No.
And the other thing is those are at a different price point generally. I mean, Teslas aren't cheap, but like, they're trying to get there. And
yeah, you can get a Model 3 for in the range where people can afford it.
Yeah. And it's not like, that's what's so interesting about it is it's not like, look at me getting out of my car, I'm rich. I mean, it is, I'm doing well, but like, it's not, I'm rich. And so I can't ever think of a car that was in like the Model 3,
the moderate price range,
that people were that proud to drive. Like it's wild.
No, when you talk to young people, like, what's your dream car?
Mm-hmm.
I've asked this. It's everyone's Tesla.
Everyone.
I don't think like if you were to ask a 16-year-old, I think they want a Tesla before they want a Ferrari.
Yeah. I agree.
And
I also think that like the new like expectations, like I think that like, I don't know, that could be wrong here, but I think that the new generation of young people, like they don't as much like aspire to like have Lamborghinis and Ferraris. Like I think they think that like a Tesla's cool and sick and like that's good. Like I don't feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Like when I was growing up, I had a Lamborghini on my wall. I don't think kids do anymore. I think it's like, I'd like to have a Tesla and then I'd like to, blah, 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 have my, my internet business and my this, that, whatever. That's my perception. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it seems like. And it reads, you see it on the road. I know LA is a bubble. I know that LA might even be the biggest Tesla city in the world, but I know that other cities do reflect that as well in their own way.
No, definitely. Like, I think if you're a young person, like that's the car you want. Why not? It's cool. It's great. It's awesome. It's so feature rich.
So here's the question. Is the Elon hate and the outrage like sort of fake? Like, is it a loud, small group?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I don't think we feel the Elon hate more so in LA because of where we live.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't believe, I don't know. What did you say your parents are on Elon?
Oh, I got to ask him. I didn't ask him.
Yeah.
I'll ask him.
That would be a
But I'm sure they love Teslas. Like my dad thinks the Model X is the coolest thing in the world.
It is.
It is. But his friend, somebody he knows, got one, and he's like, yeah, when he's tired after whatever, or maybe the guy might have some health issues, and he's like, he goes, to the doctor and gets his treatment. And he's usually pretty worn out. He just puts his Tesla in autopilot and drives him home. That's the coolest thing ever.
That's insane.
It's insane. And I would imagine flying around Akron, Ohio in a Model X, you're probably, that thing looks like a Ferrari.
It's not cheap. Not a cheap car.
So yeah. So I think even if they think Elon's a little goofy, which a lot of people probably do, I think that most people still trust his, like you might think he's goofy. I don't think you think he's like dumb or
no, I don't think
wrong.
Anyone thinks he's dumb.
Okay. Well, the individual investors definitely don't, because they are going big. And obviously we're not giving any stock advice, but it just seems to me like the amount of buy-in on this brand is it's
insane. Apple. It's 100% Apple. Like, when Apple resonated with the luxury crowd and young people, it sustained the brand, even when they had made no innovation on the product. Like, how much different is the iPhone we have today from 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Is there any? I don't know.
It's not. There's not.
The battery's a little longer. Like, you have like 17 cameras on the front and the back. Like, what else is there? I don't think there's a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think if you had an old iPhone, you wouldn't be mad at like your current experience.
If you didn't have to sit down at a restaurant and someone plops down their new one next to your old one, then you'd be fine. Nobody would know. Yeah. Okay, here's some quick news. Elliott Management, which is an activist investor sort of thing, just took a big stake in Salesforce. Billions. Multi-billions. So making some big business news.
Yeah, basically, whenever Elliott does that, it means they either want you to buy back stock, cut staff, sell something. Like they think that you are underperforming for a reason, and they want to exert their power.
Got it.
So I'm curious to really understand what they believe Salesforce should do. So Salesforce's biggest acquisition recently was Slack.
Yep.
Do they want them to sell Slack? Do they want them to cut more staff? Do they want them to buy something? Like, what do they want them to do? And I think that's going to be happening now a lot because a lot of companies' stock has been affected. How do you like deal with that? Like, that's going to be if you could buy stock in any company and affect change, what would it be?
Ooh.
Anything.
Oh man. Do you have one?
I would buy.
We're here too, and I don't want to botch it. Who?
What do I like? I would buy stock in Nike.
Yep.
And teach them how to make a really good fucking running shoe because they're incapable of doing that.
How is that the case?
They suck.
How is it the case that you're the biggest?
Nobody who's a serious runner wears Nike. I'm sorry.
That blew my mind. When I started running a little more like 6 months ago, I just thought that's what everyone wore. And then
I would buy $10 billion of stock.
Yeah. Okay.
And be like, you got to learn how to make a running shoe. Sorry, Phil. I love you, Phil. I think your book is great.
I love that of all stocks, like you chose a pretty hard one to affect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of I'm looking, I'll tell you where
I am
right
Wendy's?
now.
What are you buying, Wendy's?
This is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Darden. Do you know what Darden Restaurants is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. That's what I'm looking at. Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, Yard House.
What change are you adding? Add some salads?
I think I can add a little bit more of a health appearance. I'm not saying we got to go too hard, but I think we can look a little more healthy. And I'm thinking we can really, really, really make a big push on social media. I could see a breadstick challenge on TikTok. I could see some sort of influencer inspired salad. I could even see maybe a Longhorn Steakhouse sponsoring the Joe Rogan podcast. He's a Texas guy now.
Wow.
We got to get some social media traction going there, but they got a great batch of restaurants that were a big part of my childhood.
Brand awareness is 100%.
I mean, brand penetration, when you go middle America.
I mean, yeah, even for me, like all of those restaurants you mentioned, we grew up around.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I know that. We know that well.
Olive Garden feels like
Nike. Nike's so hard to impact.
Well, guess what? When I fucking become a billionaire, I'm activizing the shit out of that one.
Not one good running shoe, huh?
I mean, I tried the Vapor Flies. They're not.
That's a shocker. And here it is with fucking Hoka. That's who's killing it. That's who has the good running shoe.
Yeah, Hoka on Asics. Like how did Nike they're a running brand.
That's
what are you running from?
Yeah, they're running from a good running shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what else I noticed when I was traveling the last time? This is probably a no shit moment, but is like you know how like activewear became really popular over the last handful of years. Yeah. And it's sort of like, we've joked on the pod before about like, a lot of the people wearing activewear aren't working out, but it's the comfiest. It's made to stretch. It's, all that stuff. One thing I noticed is a lot of like Hokas
Yeah.
like in the airport. And like, so there's these people that are wearing like the most engineered for distance, like running shoes and clothes. And like, it's the peak comfort and easiest on your body for like marathons. But, like you wear it to your favorite Darden establishment just to, make walking a little easier.
It's funny because I have all those running shoes and I wore like some hype shoe that I own. I don't know, I haven't worn it in a long time. I was like, I should wear it. It's like a Nike, Jordan, whatever.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this shoe so bad? How did Michael Jordan win NBA titles in the shoe? You know how good Michael Jordan was? Like, he was playing in fucking cardboard.
But what they know before that, fucking Chuck Taylors?
Yes. I mean,
at the time, that was revolutionary. It's all perspective. It's all, if you don't know a LeBron 17, then your
LeBrons
Jordan
are so
1
comfortable.
great.
Like, I get it. I get why LeBron wins.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan should not have won a game in those fucking shoes. They're the worst shoes. They're literally the worst shoes.
They are rough. Like, they look really cool. But
imagine playing basketball in like Jordans.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Like Jordan 4s, Jordan 1s. You can't play basketball in those.
Yeah, yeah. I do got to say, a really good option is those Solomons are great.
Unbelievable shoes.
I mean, they're comfortable. You're not walking around in Hokas. Yeah.
I haven't, I'll be honest, I have not run in them. These are like my fashion shoes.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to run in your Hokas. I mean, try it, but run in your Hokas. But it's just a great option. Anyway. I know we're short on time, so let's move. We're not a fashion podcast. Do whatever you want out there, people. Wear your Hokas to Olive Garden. It's fine. Okay. Did you know that ChatGPT? So ChatGPT, I guess for anyone who might not know, I'm sure all of our listeners know, the AI, service that was, or platform, whatever you want to call it, that was released by OpenAI like a month ago and just had the internet going crazy. And everyone's talking about ChatGPT and everyone's asking it questions and having it write scripts and having it do all these things. And it really I think we talked about it on the pod, like it's pretty rare that like a tech, advancement or sort of offering goes that viral. With everyone using it and trying it out, and everyone was speculating on the future applications and all that stuff. The most recent sort of thing that has happened there is it looks like there's a $42 professional plan that comes with some extra perks being released, or was it released?
Yeah, no, it's being released to people right now.
Wow. And do you know any of the perks?
So I think the big challenge right now is that when you go on ChatGPT, like during the day, during prime time, it's sometimes down. So they're guaranteeing 100% uptime, all the features. So I think what they'll do is if you're not a paying member, they'll probably throttle you. And so you have to use it at 2 a.m. or whatever, like some odd hour of the day. Because like ChatGPT, it's on the internet. I mean, if you think about it from like an India-China perspective, Indians and Chinese people are probably using it on like just another level of consumption and probably clogging it up. And they're like, all right, well, if the rest of the world wants to use it, you can pay for it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Like I've heard people talk about like the best time to use ChatGPT and the best way to prompt it to actually get your answers. I have seen a lot of like holes. I feel like when it first dropped, it was like, whoa, like Google's done, everyone's done, blah, 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 jobs are gone. But like, it makes a lot of mistakes still. Yeah,
I mean, it's a dummy.
Yeah, it's
got a long way to go.
It's fun to talk to, I guess, if you're lonely, but it's not.
I use it. My use case has been to basically do songs for my kids.
Like you ask it to write a song?
Yeah, I literally give their names. I give what they're into for the day, and it spits out like a poem or song, and I read it for them.
And they love it.
They love it. I say Dominic and Miles love tractors. We played basketball, went to the park, blah, 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 blah. Write a fucking poem.
That's good. That's good. That's what it's good for. It's a low-grade nanny.
Yeah.
It's a very unsuccessful songwriter. I mean, look, I think
Exactly.
there's a lot of usage in the future, but it does seem to me like similar to autonomous cars is like, I think everyone, including myself, was like, okay, autonomous cars, it makes perfect sense. Those things are going to be ready in no time. Oh my gosh, we're almost there. But it seems to me like it's almost like getting 90% of the way to a cool thing is like kind of easy. But
Yeah.
that last 10% where your car is not going to drive off a cliff, or ChatGPT isn't going to give you the wrong treatment for a medical condition or something that is just catastrophic and just couldn't be used. It seems like that last sprint takes a long time.
Yeah, because even our friend Deepak, who listens to the pod, who's a doctor, he was saying that he thinks AI can actually replace a lot of the most fundamental things of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get a blood test kit at home, monitor your heart, things like that, like the most fundamental things can be done by AI.
Yeah.
And there was like a thing where they ChatGPT passed the medical exam. So I think people feel like the most basic things can be done with AI.
Yeah.
And anytime you have anything that like ruffles beyond the bases, you have to go to a human being. So I don't believe like the whole world is going to be automated. It's just, that's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, maybe one day, but it just doesn't seem close. Even when you watch some of these videos of people, I don't know if you've watched any of the people with like the most updated full self-driving from Tesla, like it's cool. And it is very, very close, but you're not hopping in that thing and pressing a button and going to sleep. Like it's,
no, I mean, we
sketchy.
were on last night, we had like a dinner in Brentwood on like the sidewalk of some restaurant, and the stupid Postmates robot is like roaming around like a dummy, just running into everything. I was just like, this fucking stupid ass robot. Like, you don't even know where you're going. Like, get a camera or something.
That thing sucks.
Like running into everything. It's like, like no one, like, what are you doing?
Every time you see it, it looks stupid and lost. And I can't believe, like, I'm sure people do, but you know how like we've seen multiple times, like people going up and just like punting a row of bird scooters and like letting them die. I haven't seen anyone like physically assault those Postmates things, but they must.
I think homeless people are just opening it up and stealing it. Like, why not?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like the way it is here in LA, like there could be a row of homeless people in tents and everything, and that dumbass robot could just go trotting right past them.
It's so annoying.
Yeah,
I was like, you dummy. Like,
I mean, it's a good attempt, man, but it's just not. It's like the drone delivery from Amazon. It's like the blah blah blah. It's like all of these things are so close. They seem like, and it looks good in a highlight reel, but in actual application, it's just not.
Yeah,
just not there. Okay, last but not least, one of our favorite people. I'd say we have like maybe a group chat Hall of Fame. This person would be in it. Elizabeth Holmes. Gotta love her. She was recently found guilty. She didn't do well in court. She didn't get sentenced yet, right?
No, she
got 11 years.
11 years.
Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. So she did get sentenced. She got 11 years. We'll see how that ends up playing out. But here's the new news that's popping up this week. She apparently made an attempt to flee the country after her conviction. Trying to make a break for it. Is she pregnant? Or she just had a baby?
I think she just had a baby.
For some reason, I was under the assumption that she had a baby and then got pregnant again. Like it's some sort of tactic, like you walk in pregnant, chances are you're going to get a little bit less sentencing.
She should name her kid Sherlock. You like that?
I like that. She could name him Madoff.
Madoff Holmes.
Yeah.
Madoff these homes.
Do you have details? Like, what did she try? What?
Yeah, she booked a flight to Mexico in January of 2022. A one-way ticket.
One-way ticket.
She was like, fuck it, I'm moving to Cabo. I'm never coming back.
Not a bad idea.
You gotta
try.
Yeah, why not?
What's she gonna do, man? I wonder. Like,
what do you mean? What's she gonna do? She's gonna go to jail for 11 years and become a billionaire. She's gonna raise money when she comes out.
I think part of that is very right. But when I mean what's she gonna do, what I meant was like, what sort of time is she gonna do? Because she's just not gonna do 11 years. But is she gonna do 3? Like, they're just gonna do it until we forget about it.
Gavin Newsom's about to let everyone out. Like, he's trying to let people out right now. If you were talking about like hardened criminals that committed like serious crimes that are being let out, I'm okay with Elizabeth Holmes being let out.
I mean, yeah, if you're talking about like violent criminals, yeah.
If you're talking about violent criminals, we're like, yeah, whatever. Let out Elizabeth Holmes. As long as she names her kid Sherlock.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that. I mean, I agree. As long as you can never raise money again and your kid has to be named Sherlock. That's a deal. Take it.
Why not? That's fair. Like, you have to we're doing attendance today. Sherlock Holmes.
I think it's brilliant. I just wonder. I feel like she's going to go to jail for like the press. They're going to talk about it, and as soon as everyone forgets about it,
yeah, she'll be let out.
She's not doing 11 years.
No. And by the way, like, if we're letting out violent criminals, I'm okay with her being let out.
Or maybe just let her go to Mexico.
Like, you can never come back. You got to live in Mexico.
Yeah. That's fine. What's up with this violent criminal thing? Like, is this there's a new thing happening?
Yeah. Gavin
I thought all the violent criminals were already out.
I thought that it feels like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I don't want to end on a very somber note, but I guess we will.
Great.
If you've been following what happened yesterday in Monterey Park in celebration of the Lunar New Year, there was a horrendous shooting at a hall where people were celebrating, and 10 people were killed, 28 people injured. And today there was a white van spotted by police. It became a whole situation. The gentleman killed himself and is now reported to be the person that committed this crime, which is like an older Asian male.
Live updates. Gunman in Monterey Park mass shooting is dead.
Yeah. So he killed himself. And, you know, people immediately went to hate crime. And hate crime usually insinuates a racist situation.
Yeah.
But it appears to be this person was Asian.
He was 72.
72 Asian male.
Whoa.
Wild.
We don't know motive or anything?
We don't know anything. But I just, you know, people's heads went to places that I get it. Like, you assume racism, you assume these things. And that's just not the case in every situation. And unfortunately, here we are.
And people do assume, like mass shooting, they assume white dude.
Yes.
Who can tran? 72 years old. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know how you feel. I think this is like no brainer. People just seem fucking nuts. Like, I went last night and I went to a Best Buy.
Which one? Santa Monica La Brea?
No, Sherman Oaks, Van Nuys.
Wow, you're not even messing around. You're going to the Valley to be safe.
Hell no. It was nighttime. And because I had a record player that broke, and I wanted to get a new record player. I'm like, you know what? Let me just run to Best Buy. That seems like a fun adventure.
What time exactly?
Like, let's say 8:30.
You went to Best Buy at 8:30 at night?
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like a fun adventure. And I went there and it was crazy. It just felt like there was no products on the shelves. Like anything, I was like, hey, do you guys have like these digital cameras? Like, I wanted to look at it, and they're like, no, we don't even really carry that shit anymore because like people just steal it. And then like there was armed security. And then I go find a record player. I go wait in line. I'm not shitting you. Not even exaggerating. This old dude in a American flag hat and a military, like looked like a veteran, like jacket, probably like 75 years old, comes up to me and just starts going on about how DeSantis isn't ready and Trump's coming back and everyone knows it.
What?
And blah, blah, blah. And he's like, where are you from, young man? I was like, I'm from Ohio. And he's like, oh, that, mayor and the left and like Ohio's definitely going for Trump.
How old is this person?
Like 75. And just in the line. But he wasn't waiting in line for anything. He just was fucking talking. And then the guy at the register was like, hey, you're next. And I walk up and I literally just hear him keep going with the guy behind him. and he DeSantis and it was just fucking crazy. And there was like all these other little interactions where it just felt like, man, I don't, admittedly, I don't go around like, pop into Best Buy like I used to, but it felt weird, man. It felt just weird and like off kilter.
I agree. Like, in December I had COVID and I had to leave my house for a week because of, safety of kids and whatever. And because they had to do some important things. So I was living at the Lowe's in Hollywood and Highland for a week.
That's Nuttyville too.
By myself. And I was losing my mind in this hotel room. Yeah. So I would, at night, when it was empty, because I didn't want to be around people, like I don't want to be that person. Yeah. I would just go for a walk on Hollywood Boulevard.
That is wild. You just thought Best Buy Van Nuys was crazy. Walking down Hollywood Boulevard when the sun is down, you're nuts.
Holy shit. I went like at 9 p.m. for a walk.
No chance.
And, I was wearing a mask and I walk into a restaurant. I'm like, I wanted to order food. I ordered some food and go back. And then they're the outdoor tables. No one was there. It was like 9 o'clock on like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I just eat out here like by myself? And she's like, yeah, fine. And then she's like, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah. I can't. You are brave. I can't. And did you do it?
I did. And I get why. It was fucking scary. I literally had to turn my body to the street because I didn't want to get like...
Yes, shanked. I mean, I live, where I live. And like I always know, I've said this a million times on the pod, sorry guys, but like by all of these like concert venues in Hollywood. And like, it's an area where we would go out all the time. We talk about that a lot too. Like years ago, 10 years ago, we would be all out and about at all hours of the night. And so there's always this wild shit that happens outside of my windows. And last night at like 10 p.m., I'm sitting watching TV. And I hear like kind of these like, I don't know, like little explosions is what they sound like. And I'm like, sometimes people light off fireworks or whatever. Like, no big deal. I'm not even going to look. And finally, there was enough of them that I got up and I looked out the window. And right next to the Fonda, which is a really well-known concert venue, there was a blazing 30-foot tall inferno of like homeless tents or something. Up against the Fonda, like lighting, like the flames were on the Fonda, like looked like it was about to burn it down, and just wild. And it's like popping and blowing up. And there's literally, then you look 20 feet down the sidewalk and there's a line of people outside of like a nightclub and they're all just watching it like, yeah. And then like fire trucks come. It was just madness.
Yeah, it's a joke. Everything's a joke.
It's just wild. But anyway, I don't want to by any means, I don't know, say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. But when it comes to these like shootings and like, I don't know, man, it just feels, I know these things happened like pre-COVID. They've been happening for a long time, unfortunately. But people just feel, it just feels dangerous out there.
Yeah. Scary.
Crazy. Okay. That's all we got. No shout outs.
Shout out to the Kathy Club members. We're popping.
They did well.
Yeah, we're doing well. We have a ton of things planned, so stay tuned. Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like the perks are rolling in already with the giant hats. So, and there was a lot of Kathy pride. Like I got a lot of tagged and a lot of stories and stuff from people buying.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's really awesome.
Good stuff. Okay, well, head on over. Where do you go again?
chattycathyclub.com.
There you go. All right. We're out of here. Everyone have an incredible week. Stay safe. See you later.
Bye-bye.